Hey, y'all! Welcome to the content of colors, creative. What the heck am I saying? Excuse me. Okay, hold on. Welcome to the content of color, creative collective 30-day challenge. Okay, I think I got it out there. Y'all forgive me. My name is Scorpion November. I am your host for today. We are doing a wrap up for this amazing 30-day challenge that happened during the month of October. We have some amazing content creators to showcase today that were a part of that amazing challenge. They did the darn thing, if I may say so. You have some content creators that are bringing you their experience on their podcast platform for 30 days. That was the challenge, to create as much content as they possibly could. And let me tell you, it was some amazing content that they created. So we're going to showcase them, let them talk about what their experience was and what they're going to do going forward, how it impacted their journey, what have they learned, and so forth and so on. You know, when this challenge was presented, I was like, ooh, that's going to be a lot. But they rose to the occasion. Some did so more than others, but that's okay. You want to know why? Because they tried. They did something most people would not even attempt to do. They did it. Because I didn't attempt to do it. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. But they did it. So I think they deserve some kudos and some hand claps and some praises just for even attempting to do the darn thing. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first we're going to introduce, right? The first person I have on my list to introduce is Levi. Levi is the host of The Forefront Radio. The Forefront Radio provides history, identity, and culture of Black people in the diaspora before slavery. The Forefront Media is dedicated to building trust, giving solutions, and providing news, educational info to build up those in the diaspora and having been affected by colonialism. So let's welcome Levi.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate being a part of the Content Creators of Color. I'm Afia Levi. I am the host of the Forefront Radio, where we talk about Black history according to the Bible. We ask a vital question. We ask, who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonialism? We were part of a 30-day challenge, and I was able to rise to the occasion by providing 30 days worth of content revealing Black history in the Bible. And we went over a lot of topics.
Okay, so we're gonna I want to say welcome, Levi. We're going to bring all of you up. I just want to introduce you all individually, and then we're going to have a collective conversation amongst all of you because I think that will be more engaging and a lot more fun. So next, we're going to bring Michelle Ronan. Michelle is the host of Relationships Through the Looking Glass podcast. The podcast will take a look at how perceptions of ourselves and the world around us impact how we relate to one another. With male and female perspectives from guests in different fields and life experiences, we aim to use real-world examples of how the looking glass self-theory has an impact on our relationships. We will address societal, cultural, and mental health concepts in everyday terms as we work towards personal growth that allows us to build authentic relationships. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, my other favorite introvert. How are you? I know, we need an air horn.
Okay.
So
now,
this experience it's been awesome. I was able to do something really outside the box and do storytelling podcasting. I've always been a storyteller by heart, by nature, And I kind of wanted to see what that was going to feel like, what that was going to look like without adjusting my regular podcast platforms. This provided the opportunity to do so, and I think I nailed it. I'm proud of it. If no one else is, I'm proud of it.
I'm proud of you guys too. I'm proud of all of you for doing it, for even attempting to do it. And you guys created some amazing content. So now I want to take a moment to introduce Sean Smith. Sean is the co-CEO of Dripping in Black Productions and the executive producer of Dripping in Black Podcast and Raw Conversation, Unadulterated Truth Podcast. Dripping in Black Productions is changing the narrative of the Black diaspora and celebrating Black excellence. Hey, Sean. How you doing?
Hey there. How you doing, Scorpion? Um,
I'm good.
that's great. Doing the challenge, real quick. It was very interesting because I'm not on air. I'm very rarely on air, and I used it a chance to repurpose some materials. And I also one of my biggest goals was to have other people get their start. And I did put down a couple of promos for two other podcasts that are one already started, and I know one is very close to. So I'm proud of that. But again, it was interesting because yeah, I did do some things on my own. But I'm looking forward to the next one. I think I could tackle the other one better. So
Uh-oh. So y'all here first. There's going to be another challenge. So y'all stay tuned after this. So another Sean can make the announcement about the next upcoming challenge. But let's keep introducing the rest of the people that are a part of this challenge. I want to take a moment to introduce, is Drew here? I don't know that I saw Drew. Is Drew here? Yes, he is. Drew is the host of the Drew versus the World podcast, a podcast that provides inspiration through information. Over the last year, he has had a diverse list of guests from entrepreneurs to recording artists and to fellow podcasters, touching listeners from more than 40 different countries. His inspiration comes from podcasts like The Joe Rogan Experience, Doughboys, Horrible Decisions, and You Made It Weird. Drew is a podcaster born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, but currently resides in Charlotte, North Carolina, with his two kids and future wife. Hey, Drew.
Hey,
Drew in the
Scorpion, can
whip.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, always on the move. First and foremost, thank you so much for Scorpion for moderating this experience. Um, Honestly, you are the catalyst that created all of this. So it's great to have you a part of this finale. I would say one thing about this challenge, it was very inspirational. I'm all about inspiration, obviously. And it really, I wasn't able to take on the experience as to its full extent, but it still got me out of my comfort zone because I started first on doing solo podcasts, which I never thought I wanted to do or could do, but then it gave me some ideas and collaborated with so many positive, enriching conversations with so many other podcasters that are, miles ahead of me. So I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed this 30-day challenge. And again, thank you everybody who has been listening, anybody who's a part, anybody who's thinking about being a part. We will see you next 30-day challenge or see you in Clubhouse streets. Thank you again.
Oh, you see Drew making it happen, and Captain in the whip. He said he wasn't going to miss this for the world. So thank you,
Oh
Drew.
no.
I want to take a moment to introduce Jen Washington. Jen is the host and creator of Woke by Accident podcast. After the death that shook the entire country, Jen decided to step up as a community advocate. George Floyd's murder and the reopening of Mike Brown's case in 2020 sparked her inspiration to create a global podcast, Woke by Accident podcast. Here she amplifies compelling news stories and matters impacting African Americans and their communities. Her goal is to give a voice to the voiceless and to have the difficult conversations needed to advance relations and matters of race. Jen enjoys volunteering with many organizations to improve her community. Hey Jen, how you
Hey,
doing?
Scorpion, pretty good.
Hey, so everyone was been speaking on what the podcast meant to them. So what did the podcast mean to you briefly?
Yeah, it was a good way to connect with some other like-minded creatives in the podcasting space, which is I'm always up for. So that was really dope. And also collaborating with some other people in the challenge was awesome. And then also just pushing myself to put out content every single day, which I did for the most part. I may have skipped a day, but I did pretty good. So I was enjoying it.
I think you did pretty good too. So give yourself some kudos for
Yeah.
that because you did pretty good. You guys were pretty consistent for the most part. Life happens, things happen in life. And so 30 days is a big time commitment and things happen. You have to live life and you have to allow yourself grace. For those of you that didn't complete a challenge every day of the 30-day challenge, again, you attempted to do something most people wouldn't even attempt. And you have to allow yourself grace in that space to grow. So kudos to you, Jen.
Thanks.
I want to take a moment to introduce someone else that was a part of this challenge, and that is Daryl Barnes. He is the host and creator of All Things Black podcast, and I'm going to give him a moment to tell us what his podcast was about and about this challenge. Hey,
Hey
Daryl.
everybody, what's going on? What's going on? So yes, I am the host of the All Things Black podcast. So basically, I help tell stories and life experiences of Black people, just in general. So yeah, I attempted. I'm the bad pupil right now, so I'm gonna take that. I'm the bad pupil, but I tried it and I thought it was a wonderful experience. And just listening to a lot of what was posted in those 30 days was actually some really great podcasts. But yeah, like you said, life does happen, and life definitely happened on my end, so I wasn't able to complete it like I wanted to. But yeah, started out strong, bad pupil, didn't finish, but it is what it is. But yeah, absolutely.
Kudos to you for trying it. You were part of the challenge. Again, I really want you guys to, and I keep saying this because I think it is very important. You guys attempted. There's no failure in attempting to do anything. You attempted to do what a lot of us didn't even attempt to do because of the fear of not succeeding or because of the lack of trying and even attempting to do so. So kudos to y'all for even trying to do it, to even attempt it. That's the win. That's the win right there. So I want to take a moment to introduce the 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 person that sparked that came up with this idea of a 30-day challenge, right? With limited time to pull it together, but they pulled it together. But the person that came up with this idea is Sean Connors. Sean Connors is a computer nerd, single father, Christian, LVAD enabled, podcaster, podcast producer, content creator, sneakerhead, and foodie. He is the host of the 757 Renaissance Man, a podcast that empowers entrepreneurs, leaders, artists, creatives, and activists from the Hampton Roads area. John is also the host of the LVAD Nation podcast that features conversations with LVAD patients, heart transplant recipients, and caregivers. They discuss life before, during, and after the LVAD. He also serves as the co-host of the as the co-host of Back of the Cereal Box podcast, where a group of friends get together on Saturday mornings with big bowls of cereal, sounds delicious to me, and talk about the geek pop culture they love. Hey Sean, how you
Hey,
doing?
what's going on? What's good? I just want to say I'm just so unbelievably proud of everybody who attempted this. No matter if you
Yes.
did one episode or 30 episodes, we all have a shared experience, a shared camaraderie. I challenge anyone to say that they didn't learn anything during these last 30 days. So my heart is full, and I'm happy.
Kudos to y'all for doing the darn thing. I want to say I kept seeing posts because I followed the page on Instagram, and then I saw posts on your individual pages. I was like, they're doing this. They are sincerely
And I don't
doing this,
want it to
and they're
get
taking
lost
it
on
very
anyone.
serious.
We created in 5 days. We created
Mhm.
a complete podcast from theme music to art to concept. We did that in 5 days, and then we in 30 days, all of us together completed enough. A lot of your average podcast has what 30 or so episodes for a season.
Mhm.
So we
Sometimes
collectively,
less.
right? We collectively completed 7 complete series of podcasts in 30 days. Hey, I think everybody here is a winner.
I think so too. I think so too. I'd like to ask the question, what made you the audacity to attempt a challenge, a 30-day challenge with 5 days of preparation? Speak on that for me.
So I I don't know. I'm a little bit crazy, a little bit, a little bit thrown off. Maybe my mama dropped me on my head, but I don't know. I was at a point where I needed some inspiration just to kind of get me through the rest of the year. And it's easier to kind of get that when you have a group of people aiming for the same purpose to kind of push me over the line to get me through this year, and that kind of did it. And then I was also thinking, there's a space, there's a void for content creators, and especially content creators of colors. Like, we have these challenges, but we don't have them for us. So I kind of wanted an opportunity for us to make each other better.
Kudos to y'all. And I think y'all did. I think not only did you guys inspire each other, you inspired people that were watching you, right? Because again, to speak on the audacity to do such a thing and to believe that you can do it and to attempt to do it, that's a lot. And I don't think people realize how much what people see you doing impacts people. It's much like children, right? Your children don't necessarily do what you say, but they do what you do, right? And it's the same is true within this spaces and all spaces. People get inspired by what they see other people attempting to do and doing. And so you inspire other folks. And I'm sure you've had other people mention that they want to take part in the next challenge, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because they're jealous, right? They're a little jelly. They're a little jelly. They want to. All
Yeah,
people
but it's
want.
one of them
Everybody wants
things.
to be a part of something great, right? That is
You got to be
something great.
careful what you ask for though, because you might
Mhm.
get it.
That's true. That's true. You know, people want to be attached to something great. So people wouldn't want to be attached and a part of what you all are doing if it wasn't something great. So I want you guys to take that away from this experience as well, that you're doing something great and you're inspiring other folks to attempt to do things that they wouldn't normally attempt to do. So kudos to y'all for that. I want to ask everyone what what made them think to do this and that they could do this. I would love to hear everybody that we've introduced thus far to speak on that. We'd love to hear. When Sean came to you, or whoever in the collective came to you and presented this idea of taking part in this challenge, what were your thoughts surrounding that? Did you think this is some BS or heck no, or what did you think?
So
Anybody?
I can take this one. Start off. So Sean was in a room, Scorpion, and he just kind of like hit me up, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm just thinking about doing this 30-day challenge." And to your point, Scorpion, I was like, "What the hell are you thinking right now? Like this is going to overtake our lives. We both have enough on our schedule as it is, but then when we kind of put the feelers out and started, to collaborate with other people, that's when I saw the kind of the woods between the weeds, and that's what really kind of pushed me forward. So I knew he had a passion and a dream and something that he wanted. He just needed, a bunch of people to come along with him, and I was on once he said it. So Sean's my brother. I'm podcasting, and anything that he kind of touches turns into gold. So I just wanted to be along to get the initial gold money. So I was all for it, and I loved every minute of it. And I loved collaborating with everybody. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. I'm so happy. My heart is full, as he said.
Anybody knows? What were your thoughts?
I'll
I'll
go.
chime in.
So
Okay, go ahead.
I'm all jumping all over you, Levi. No, go ahead. Use that sultry voice of yours.
I know Levi got that radio podcast, like that radio voice, like that Midnight Storm voice. Levi.
Appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. Well, Jen actually did a participation with me in her podcast, which is Woke by Accident, and she invited me on the stage. I got out of my comfort zone because I normally do solo podcasting, and
Mhm.
she introduced me to a group of wonderful individuals in our community that just love all things Black. So I was like, I got to get into this thing. I have to help. And we don't understand, like, just making this move, we're inspiring millions. Okay, we're making history here because we're inspiring
Mhm.
others to go for that challenge. And I absolutely, like Drew just said, love that we came collectively, we worked uniformly. Everybody put their part in, everybody put their 2 cents, and hey, guess what, y'all can keep the change.
Michelle?
Okay, I'll go now. Um, I'm just somebody who's always up for whatever within reason, making sure it's legal. And I just felt it was a great opportunity to try something different,
Mhm.
to work on a different scope, but also to connect and network with other people. So who are in the creative realm, because there's not a lot of us out here, and I feel that the creativity that we hold in a community is bar none. Everybody copies us, like literally. So to be able to be an incubator of creativity and to be able to push the amount of content out that we did in the small amount of time that we did was outstanding. So I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait to help usher in the new set of challengers who are going to step to the mic in February.
Mm, I hear challenge. Challenge. Something that I noticed that most of you all have in common that took part in this challenge. You all have an intention to reach and support and represent our community in excellence. Speak on that intention and how this challenge reinforced that for you all.
Who wants to go?
We'll go with Sean Smith, Mr. Drippin' and Black and Tall.
It was for me. It was easy. It was on brand because, especially with the first one, they my babies. My first baby, dripping in black. That's what it was geared towards. And to be an executive behind the scenes, the editor, and doing all the dirty work, it was cool to talk to other people that were doing it because, like, for example, I can't talk to my host about that because I'm like the Charlie Brown teacher, and I go into wah 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 because he don't understand the jargon that I'm talking about. I'm talking about rendering videos and stuff like that. So it was cool to have people that knew actually knew more than I did. Definitely, that's not saying much, but they knew more than I did, and so I could learn from and also put in input of what I know as well, and the intentionality, because we are pro-black. It ain't saying that we anti-white, we're pro-black, and
Mm-hmm.
and that was the underlying theme, and it was always cool to have those comrades to know what you're talking about when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your video not rendering, you want to cry, or you accidentally lost the stuff and you got to record it over and stuff like that. So it was a camaraderie, was the thing that I pulled out the most from it.
Anyone else wanna tap in or expand on what Sean just said?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. Shine touched on, quite a bit. Just sitting back and being able to hit all those different perspectives in under one banner, under one podcast, it's almost like getting a full meal. So, you get all these different perspectives and different ideas and opinions, all these different creative ideas and stuff like that under one banner. I just thought that was a really great idea for, people to come together as that collective and, just jump on board and do the best that they can do to provide that information for people that probably want something like that, right?
Mhm.
Because again, you got to bounce around, you got to collect all your different podcasts and put those things together. But to have all of us in under that one umbrella, putting that information out there, I thought that was a really great idea, which is one of the reasons why I jumped on board.
I
I
agree a
think
lot
so.
with what Daryl said. That was really on point, like really on point. Because the best way I could describe it, imagine Disney Channel, MTV, BET, CNN, and all these different things coming together as one to produce information, history, giving stories, socially conscious topics, interview style topics. Imagine all these collectives coming together and giving information specifically for our community. That's rare. You've rarely see that. You see what I'm saying? So it was an inspiration for everybody participating. I, for one, because I never thought that we could collectively do something like that. And it was like, it was just like so amazing to me, so phenomenal to see us like collectively bring that honor, that dignity, that value, entertainment, all of that wrapped into one. So I chime in and just say, yeah, it's something that anyone that is looking for new information, new content, Black history prior to slavery, because we always hear about like Rosa Parks, MLK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, but we never ask like who were we before that. So we have content going over that. If you're a person that likes stories and animations, you have those stories that are incorporated throughout that. If you like socially conscious topics, if you like interactions between two different parties, that interview style conversation podcast, it's in the content creators of color. So we invite anyone to participate and listen in and tune in on it. So think about it like this. Most podcasts, right, when they first create something, within about a year or 2 years, you'll maybe get 1,000 listens just starting off with no advertisement, nothing, right? But just looking at the statistics, right? Within our first 30 days of just putting content, you have over 1,000 listens, over 1,000 plays. That's specifically 1,225 plays. Okay. And that to me is phenomenal because you did more in 30 days than some podcasts within a year's time frame without advertising, without
Mhm.
sponsors, without, just basic social media, adding the posts to your personal page and just creating something out of nothing. And it's like that flower that grows out of the concrete. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't think it could happen, but it could happen.
Mhm. You guys did something amazing, amazing. And I hope you're proud of yourselves for doing that and attempting that. I want to ask another question, right? I want to ask, and we've had some of us have had this conversation off of here, in other spaces or whatnot. But I want to ask the question: in which way did this podcast, in what way or ways did this podcast challenge, content creation challenge, stretch you, and what did you learn from it? So first, tackle the question of how did it stretch you? Were you able to accommodate the stretch, right? And what did you learn from it?
I think I'm gonna
And I would
jump
like all
in.
of you to answer this question if you would, please.
I think I'm gonna jump in first on that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was a stretch because a lot of you guys already know that I burn my candle at both ends. I'm constantly doing something. So, like when I said it, I kind of said it to Drew, and I was really hoping Drew would be like, "Nah, man, you crazy." But Drew was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and I was like, "Just." So that was one of the stretches. But one of the things that amazed me is, like I look at every single person in a different way after this. Like it's like I respected you guys, but I respect you on a whole different level now because everybody, and I've said this before, I consider us the Wu-Tang Clan of podcasting, and
Wu
everybody
Tang Clan
had
ain't nothing to,
right. Everybody
but
has their
okay.
own style, their own way they do things, and I think it was impossible to go through this challenge and not learn from somebody, something from somebody.
Mhm. Who's next? Okay, Michelle, I see you
I'll
down
go.
there with
I'll
my
go. I'll go.
hand.
So I think for me, it was about consistency.
Mhm.
Consistency to like every night, it was like I have to put a chapter out. And what a lot of people don't know is I didn't have any of this scripted. Like I didn't have anything about this story scripted until I got on the mic. So within 5 minutes before recording, that's when it came up in my brain. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. The only episode that was scripted was the one about the wolf, and that's because I had a voice actor. But other than that, it was all straight off the dome. So that was a way I stretched my creativity. And then I was able to work with sound effects and ASMR and different ways to manipulate sound to create an environment using just auditory experiences. So the stretch was more about being consistent, um, putting in the time, and using my creativity in a way that I haven't done in a very long time, and testing different things out with sound effects. And I had a blast doing it. So, and then I think bigger than that was just connecting with this crew of people. Like every morning was inspiration. Every morning was motivation to get this done. Um, and then when we didn't hear from certain people, we would check in on them. So it was even beyond the podcast. It was more of, hey, have you heard from so and so? Is everything okay? So yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's thinking about doing it, who's really looking at stretching their creativity and growing within that space, but also communicating and educating the masses who listen. So that's kind of what my challenge was, but that's what I got out of it.
Dope. Okay, how about you, Mr. All Things Black, Daryl?
Oh, you know me, I was stretched to the limit again, which is one of the reasons why I couldn't finish. But yeah, I was stretched to the limit. It really did stress me. I had all the intentions in the world of completing the podcast. I wanted to make Sean, proud, but uh, for having that great idea.
Hold on. Let me
Same
jump
time,
in. Let
hold
me
up,
jump
man.
in here, bro.
I'm finished. Hold on.
No, because I'm proud of you, bro. I
No,
love you,
no, no.
bro.
I got it. No, I'm with it. I'm with it.
We
But
can do some drunk fighting in here.
hey, let's do it. No, um, but no. Just being able to be a part of the process was was inspirational, but at the same time it was taxing for me because I got a lot of stuff going on in the background and whatnot, plus on top of work. So I had to let something go. But again, the intention was to actually absolutely finish it and complete that task, and just know when the next one comes up, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different. But it did stretch you. It really did stretch you quite a bit. At least me, it really stretched me quite a bit. But yeah.
How about you? Who was that? Levi. I don't think you've gone yet, right? Did you go? Did Levi go? Levi went first. He actually
I'm gonna
went
let
first.
Jen go, and
You
then
first.
I'll go after Jen.
Okay, Jen, you want to go?
Okay, so yeah, we've talked about this before, but yeah, it was a stretch to, like Michelle was saying, consistency. And I have a fun fact that actually had some comfortability with our members. I had recorded with Daryl before, and I had recorded with Sean before we got started. And of course, Levi and I have collaborated a couple of times. And we've all had kind of running to each other in the
I'm not doing that at you. I'm hearing something. I'm hearing people walk above me, and I'm like, sit down.
the clubhouse streets, as they say. But yeah, I would bump into Sean all the time, and I would hear bits and pieces of his story, which is amazing. If we ever have time to delve into that, it's enough to be inspired. And so, yeah, he would throw it out sometimes, like, we all should do something together, and it's like he brought the idea, so everybody was with it, and I kind of had already had the pleasure of the energy of everyone before. So I was definitely game. Sometimes you just have a vibe with people, Daryl, Levi, just dope people and take their craft very seriously, and I appreciate that. So yeah, definitely it was a stretch, but it was a good stretch and good experience.
Dope. Dope. How about you, Sean Smith? Did we start with you?
No.
Okay, I was
Go
like,
ahead.
I don't think we started with you, but
Oh no. Stretch. I would probably say no because we had started Dripping in Black season 2, and Raw Conversation was in its infant stage. So I knew that my time was limited, but I did use it to do other stuff that supports this podcast. Like I don't know how I did it, but I accidentally did a reel on IG for one day. I was sitting in the bed waiting for something and played around and hit something and actually said, "Oh, this is what you can do with a reel." So I kind of learned things like that. I learned my thing was the learning and the networking. That was probably the biggest thing. And I don't know if necessarily say that's a stretch, but usually I'll go into a clubhouse room and not say anything and sit there and listen and stuff like that. So I grew a lot between the process. But as far as stretching and putting out other materials, like say I repurposed some materials, but I just got better at doing that. Um, the biggest stretch would probably reaching when I was talking to people about in these different rooms, and Chat House had a big, Clubhouse had a big um, dealing with that. Is that it's getting other people. You heard about beginning podcaster and trying to get them to get to that next step is to okay, let's put something on track so you can have something. So we did do that with a couple. I wish I would have did that more, but stretch as far as things that I usually don't do. Um, I would say it was more so in the networking and in the networking phase of it.
Mhm. How about we
I'll chime in
roll with,
last.
yes, with the great Levi? That's what I was going to say. Round it off with you.
All right. So I wanted to go last because I got like so much to say all at one time. But what
Okay.
inspired me with this challenge was breaking down Black history and making it palatable for the people and going over at least like 2000 years worth of content within 30 days. You know what I'm saying? And what inspired me was this verse in the Bible where it says in Job 8 verse 8, for inquire I pray thee of the former age and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. So I went back into, hey, who are we before we even was on these slave ships? Where were we in during the time of Christ? What did Christ look like? You know what I'm saying? We're always given that European persuasion, but when you actually read the Bible, you find out, hold up, Revelation 1:14 says that his head and his hair is white like wool. Who got woolly hair on the planet? So-called black folks. Then I read where it says his feet are so dark, it looked like it was burnt in a furnace. And I'm like, whoa, 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 that's talking about a black man right there. So if Jesus is black, what about his daddy? What about his mom? What about his people? You know what I'm saying? So the challenge for me was going into the Roman time where we were living during the time of Christ, going into the silk slave trade, going into the transatlantic slave trade, proving the comparison between the lost tribes of Israel going into slavery and forgetting their identity, going into our ancestry and relating the Bible in a way where people could say it's not just a religious book, but it's actually a history book about Black people. It's a Black photo album. You read about places like Ethiopia. Where is that? In Africa. You read about places like Egypt, where the children of Israel were there for over 400 years. Where's Egypt? In Africa. So those little common sense things that people kind of breeze over, they don't realize that there's rich history there of our people. That's why I wanted to make sure that within 30 days, I talked about those topics. Color in the Bible. Does it give a description of what the children of Israel look like? Historical references. For example, I have a
But
book
I want to get
by
back
the
to the
name.
question of, because I want to make sure that we get all the questions covered. Questions
Yes, as
covered.
far as the
I want to,
challenge.
yeah. I want to know how did it stretch you to do that? What were the stretching parts that pulled that out of you? How were you stretched in that way? Was it a
Y-
challenge to do it in that way?
yes,
And what
yes, it
ways
was.
was that a challenge for
So
you?
imagine trying to concise. That's the point I'm making. Imagine trying to
Hmm.
concise the period of time from 70 AD to 2021 in 30 days. That's the challenge. Imagine bringing out books like
Mm,
the Portuguese in West
I like
Africa
that book.
and correlating when the Black Jews were kicked out of Europe and sent into West Africa and enslaved by the Portuguese and the Spaniards, which is why we were called
Hold that back
Negro.
up.
You see what I'm saying?
Hold that back up. Hold that back up, bro. Hold that back. Hold that back up. Hold the book back up for a
Oh,
second.
the book. Yes,
I was
yes.
trying to
Sorry,
write that
sorry.
down.
The
We want to
Portuguese in
make sure
West
people
Africa.
are getting the information needed. Thank you. Thank you. I got it. I
Mhm.
got it. And I hope everybody else got it too, because I think it is important. I'm glad that you mentioned this and you actually put a book up to show, right? Because as much as you all are learning from this challenge, I hope other people are learning and inspired from this challenge as well. And I think so much we've heard people say, well, I didn't complete the challenge. I don't know that it was necessarily for you to complete it. Maybe it was about the lessons that you could learn throughout the challenge, what it could teach you, the ways that it could stretch you, the community that you were building, like Sean spoke of, the networking that you could build. Maybe that's what the challenge was for you. Maybe the challenge wasn't necessarily for you to complete it, but to grow and to access things otherwise, other than the completion of the challenge. So that's the question I want to ask. What did you learn in this challenge that you didn't expect to learn in this challenge that you will take going forward? It could be something as far as how to do something. It could be about relationship building. It could be about content creation. I want to know what you learned within this 30-day challenge that you could take forward. What was the lesson for you? So whoever wants to go first, we could start. We'll start Jen, Sean Smith, Levi, Daryl, Michelle, and then we'll go with Sean Smith. Sean Connors. So Jen,
I'm sorry, what do you want us to say?
what was the lesson? What did you learn? Whether it is how to do something, why you should do something, as far as networking, community building, whether it be how to create content, how to repurpose content, how to use your mics in a certain way, whatever you learned during this challenge that you're going to take forward with you from here on out.
Oh, for sure. And so I briefly will just share that stepping outside of the box. And I think everyone can say that they did that in some way. And that's always great. And then building community with others, like-minded individuals in the space. That was dope for me.
So, who's next?
Thank you, said me. What I'm taking about always be prepared, always have ideas and thoughts on deck and ready to execute them quickly instead of just letting them sit there.
So it sounds like to me you figured out that you need more processes in place so things can run more smoothly for you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Now, process is okay. It's more so of well, I would say the process of going from idea to giving it some life. I believe that probably needs to be more. But it's just like I say, you have a lot of ideas, and this was a great time to experiment. So it's always that would be always be something that I wanted to do more this time. I'll definitely do more next time. Is experimenting with some ideas that I've already had that's in the book somewhere, in my book
Got
somewhere.
your creative juices flowing. Okay, I hear you. I think Michelle, you were next. It was Michelle or Daryl.
Go, Daryl. Let them hear that voice.
Oh, I thought it was Levi, but okay. Definitely, what, kind of piggybacking off of what Sean just said was, planning and then executing. And then one of the things I learned about myself was that I don't necessarily have to make a 30-minute long podcast or an hour and a half, long podcast. I can actually do these little mini podcasts and then actually just put that out into the space. That's something I never really considered like for myself, because my podcast is basically interview driven. So, but when I saw that I could actually do that and put that into that space, I started to consider that, doing something like that going forward. So that's some of the things I learned from it. And of course, you're talking about community building, relationships with a lot of the people that were in this challenge, were kind of a little bit more ramped up, so to speak. But yeah, that's kind of what I learned from it, and that's it.
Boom. Okay, Michelle.
I think mine, again, the use of different sound effects and sound, but just the impact of how community with your collective, with other creatives, and how supportive and how that motivates you to create things and do things, but also to learn from them. Like, I've learned from every single person who's in this challenge, and just the resources, the ideas, and the inspiration to say, you know what, you can do that, you know what, you can try that. And no one has ever out of this group has said, you know what, that sucked. Like, even if I did a chapter or an episode that made absolutely no sense, like, no one came and said that freaking sucks. Like, everybody was so supportive. And also to be able to hear all the different talent that we have on this in this group, like, everybody is so talented, and everybody brought something different to the table. And again, just being a part of that experience and learning that even though I'm rather introverted, it's okay to like connect with other people, because you really grow and build. And I feel that this is just going to go more and more further and further as more people kind of chime in and join in. Because I've had people contact me already asking when the next cycle starts because they want to be a part of it. So I think for me, short answer would be just the ability to network and how you learn from the collective versus trying to do everything on your own.
I think you all are onto something great. I think you all have started something well beyond your wildest dreams. So kudos to you, Sean Connors, for having this idea. So I want to ask you the same question. What did you learn during this challenge that you can take forward, and so on and so forth? Whether it be uh, a new concept idea, whether it be learn something about yourself, other folks, what have you.
One of the things I think, which was really important for me to learn, was to learn how to put the idea out there and trust that it's going to get done. I'm used to doing everything myself, and it was such a relief to be able to put something out there, and then Michelle would be like, "No, I got it. We can do this." And then Jen would be like, "No, let's do it this way." And it's like I could step back and just kind of watch it organically grow, and that is so dope. I also, like you said, this was like a crash course in all things content creation, not just podcasts. Because we had over this 30 days, we had in-depth discussions on video, on audio, on marketing, on different outlooks of how we're gonna, position our different media. Because some of us just do podcasts, some of us do other things, but this challenge was specifically for podcasting. And being that we all could put all of this together and learn from each other, and we didn't even have one. We had play fights, but we didn't even have one disagreement.
Play.
Like, so that totally kills the narrative that we can't do nothing together, we can't build nothing together, because we all did this for love and for knowledge. So yeah.
Kudos to y'all. So I noticed Levi is back. So Levi, if you could answer that question, did you hear the question?
Yes,
You have stepped
one of
away for a
the
moment. Okay.
Yes, one of the great things that I acquired from this experience is the innovative insight that many of our collective creators brought to the table. I learned insight what Sean just said about using different equipment, like learning about, for example, the P4, which has different functionalities that you can add to your repertoire, different mic setups, transitioning from just audio based to video based recording, doing Instagram lives, marketing techniques, stuff like that. So it really added to inspiring me to be more proactive in the process of advertising my content and making it relatable to our community.
Dope, dope. And what's a part of you all's community that Michelle spoke of is that you all have different strengths, right? you all have these different things that you're bringing to the table for which all of you could learn from and tap into. Like Daryl's good with the audio space, right? And sound quality. So is Sean with the video and the audio. And then you have Sean Smith that is good on the back end and bringing concepts and ideas to the forefront. Then you have Levi with with the history and being able to tap into it and make it all make sense. And then you have Jen with the activism, and then you have Sean Connors with the LVAD activism and all those things. Then you have Drew that is good at networking and connecting with folk. All of you bring different strengths to the table that you all can build on and learn from. So kudos to y'all, because I think y'all not all the same. It's not, and that's very representative of Black folks across the board. As the saying goes, we are not a monolith, and we are not, and you guys are showcasing that in every aspect of the way with this challenge. None of your content was the same, none of it. So in line with that statement, I want to ask a question, each of you. What was your favorite episode, whether it be to create or finished product that you created during this 30-day challenge?
Wow, I think that's ooh. I don't know if I had a favorite episode. So I've had a lot of great episodes come out of, like, a lot of times you'll do episodes, right? And let's say out of 5 episodes, you'll be like, yeah, well, that one was really great. But because we were so concentrated and we did 30 so fast, it's like out of that 30, like, I want to say at least 10 were great episodes. So it's kind of hard to choose. But if I had to choose one, I want to say was my interview with Kat Corchado. Because I didn't realize we were going to click the way we did. And then we had a lot of shared history with us both being military brats. So that the surprising connection, and that was kind of one of my favorite episodes, because I think it was one of those episodes where you don't go in expecting to learn the things that you do.
Okay, I want to pick on Michelle. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. I would say my favorite one was a collaboration with Levi from the Forefront. And we had did this piece on a historic case that was coming back up in the news, the Martinsville 7. So it was a case from 1951 where 7 African American men from Virginia were convicted and executed for raping a white woman, which they didn't do. And so they were basically cleared just recently here of this crime from 1951. And so I think we saw TikTok or something that shared, like, did you hear about this? It's crazy. And then it was another historic case that kind of came up with an update to it. It's kind of like a theme, we have been seeing with, I want to say, like, maybe 4 or 5 of them, like the authorities or the powers that be righting a wrong of the past. And so Bruce Beach was another community where anyway, I'll have to get into the case, but that collaboration with Levi, specifically about the Martinsville 7, which is a historic case, the NAACP actually tried it, and 7 people were executed for something they didn't do. And so to share that and for him to bring his perspective to it was pretty dope. So
I want to pick on Michelle for a moment, because Michelle, I didn't know you had all that creativity in you. I didn't know it was like that. So Michelle, with all the creative things that you bring to the table, and you're so humble about it, it's just like, and then you just like, bam. So that's how she presented it to us, like, bam. So what was your favorite episode that you created during this time, and why?
My favorite one was the wolf, for a couple of reasons. There's a little bit of background behind the storyline, and the fact that I was able to work with a voice actor, and not just work with him, but he lives nowhere around me. He lives on the other side of the country. So writing the script, sending him the script, having him record parts and then merging it into mine was allowing me to use it in a different way, in layer it. So I was able to layer my speaking parts, his speaking parts, and then the sound effects and the music. So I'm happy that Daryl told me to switch from GarageBand to Adobe Audition, because it made it so much easier to layer things, color coded, and all that wonderful stuff. So the Wolf, because it allowed me to really learn and play with different parts of audio that I wasn't used to. And it's actually one of the most listened to episodes out of my whole series. It's the one that was listened to the most. So I'm proud of that. And I'm also proud that I was able to show my artsy side that a lot of people who don't know me, and only know me from podcasting, don't know that outside of podcasting, I paint and do 3D rendering and art. So I was able to show that, and somebody was asking to do a time lapse video of how I create the characters, and I did it. People actually like watched it and thought it was cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, the Wolf was my favorite, and again, it just allowed me to do things that I kind of keep to myself because I really just do the art for me, but to allow people to see it and then I actually liked it, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Dope, dope. So I want to ask Daryl and Sean Smith the same question before we tap out of here. There's so much more I want to ask you guys, but this is an hour, so I want to make sure that I get this question answered before we leave out the space. So whichever one of you wants to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't say that I have a specific favorite. I do love Levi and his expression of the different histories and stuff like that, and what him and Jen did together. I really love that.
Levi's dope.
But I gotta say, without a shadow of a doubt, not one specific episode, but I gotta say without a doubt, a shadow of a doubt, that yes, Michelle's creativity is like through the roof. Like when you just listen to everything that she did and those storylines and how she read and stuff like that, it just flowed and it just made so much sense. And then she laid, like she said, she layered the sound and whatnot. It was just, man, you really couldn't get enough of it. So it's like, I will say that, right? But I love what everybody put out there. And, but yeah, so again, if I wanted to highlight something, I'm going to say the creativity from Michelle and what she was able to do with those episodes.
Forever the humble one. How about you, Sean Smith?
If you're making me choose one that I did, I think it was the one from the challenge within the challenge. Sean C and I, we had a challenge with each other because he's a single father that has custody of his kids. And so he was hitting it from a father, and I was hitting it as a Black man, being a caregiver for my mother. And that was kind of, you want to say a stretch, that was a stretch because I really don't like to talk about it outside of therapy or wherever else, because it just brings back the stuff that I'm missing and all that other stuff and to see it what it is. But I did do one. So I would say that was probably my favorite if you're going to put a gun to my head and make me choose one of my own.
I swear, if y'all don't, never mind. I'm gonna hold that. I'll tell y'all another time. But y'all are funny. Y'all are funny. But y'all are dope. It's crap anyway. And I don't really want to say crap, but this ain't my live. I would say the S word, but I'm not.
Go ahead, say it. Go ahead, say it.
No, I will not. Sean, you always trying to get me in some devilment. No, sir. I want to ask you all, does anyone have I want everyone to go through very quickly and tell me one word that describes this challenge for you. Very quickly. We'll go from the top to Michelle. So Sean Connors, Jen, Sean Smith, Levi, Daryl, Michelle. Very quickly. We only have like a minute and something left.
Dope.
Creativity.
Informative.
Inspirational.
Unity.
Supportive.
There you go. There you have it. This has been the Content Creators of Color Collective 30-Day Challenge wrap up. See, I got it right that time. And I want
Hold
to
on,
thank them
Scorpion.
for having me.
I want to say something before we let everybody go. I want to let everybody go.
Okay.
Say
Go
something.
ahead.
So, remember during the whole time of the challenge, I kept saying, once we get through this, I'm working on some things in the back end.
Mhm.
Well, we are officially sponsored. We have been sponsored by Podpage, and now you can reach us at c4challenge.com. We have a lifetime license to use Podpage how we want. So I just kind of wanted to say that while we always here.
That's dope.
So
Look at y'all.
c4challenge.com has been live since about 12 o'clock last night.
There y'all go, doing things, doing big things in the space, and there's more to come for you guys. Like I told you, I don't think you guys had any idea of what's to come for you guys and what kind of space you are creating and what kind of legacy you all are creating going forward. So kudos to y'all. Many blessings to come. My name is Scorpion November. I thank you all so much for having me, and make sure you go to www.4cchallenge.com and check out the Content Creators of Color 30-day challenge. Okay, check it out. Peace, y'all.
Got to do the bomb drop. Hold up.
Peace, everybody.